Hey, what's up, everybody? This is RoseNthorn Talk, episode 10. I'm Aaron Marshall Clark, and it's a milestone for me, 10th podcast, and my special guest today is musician Kevin Hogg. What's up, Kevin?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing great, doing great. So Kevin and I met when the PAL converted to the new PAL, I call it, in around 2013-14. He was performing with one of his bands, Bright Righteous. I waited till he got off stage and people stopped talking to him so I could talk to him. And here we are today as good friends and fellow musicians and talking about everything Kevin Hogg today. So, get everything started. I want to thank everybody for watching, especially on Canada Day. Happy Canada Day. It's a blessed day for all of us today, and I'm blessed to do this for you guys with Kevin. So, music is like the soundtrack to our lives. What inspired you to be a musician?
Well, I think it was funny enough. Like, my family was never really very musical. I think my mom had 2 CDs, Barbra Streisand and Bryan Adams, and I always preferred her playing the Bryan Adams CD, even though I was a big Bryan Adams fan. But it was always kind of an itch that was in the background that I was never able to really fully scratch. And my parents got me my first guitar when I was 8 years old, and I just played the heck out of it. I played it that I just couldn't scratch, and I had to do it. And then I kind of had an epiphany one day where I was like, after performing on stage and actually having an audience clap for my performance, I kind of had an epiphany that I want to do this for the rest of my life, and there's nothing else that's going to really satisfy me.
That's amazing. Now, speaking of high school and being in marching band and singing and such, belting it out, a music concert you performed at in Banff in high school. What was that experience like, and what did you learn from it?
Well, I had a solo, and it was actually kind of a last minute thing. They were like, do an a cappella solo, and I can't remember if I asked to do it or if they asked me to do it, but I decided to try and imitate instruments with my voice. So I did that, and then all of a sudden I had the sound of the room, the reverb. It was such a big theater and everything. That I started playing with the reverb, and then I started opening up and singing, and then I full belted. I just basically screamed a note that I'd never really done before in front of an entire audience, and somebody captured a picture of it, and it was a moment of pure bliss for me, because it was like completely letting go of all those, kind of chains or rules or anything like that, and it was like, okay, this is something here, and somebody captured that moment, and I got a full spread in the yearbook, which was nice. But yeah, I was very interested in singing at an early age.
And what did you learn from that performance?
That I just want to keep doing that, or that's what I really learned. I just want to keep doing that.
Now, with performing, transitioning from at that point, where did you go from there, from after high school? Like, what was your first band? How did you start getting your name out there?
Well, my first band was actually in high school, and it was the rhythm section of the jazz band, and they were kind of like, hey, we drive well together. You're a good musician. We're good musicians. Let's team up and see what we can do. And then we formed the band, and we called ourselves the Red Fedora. Okay. We went through quite a few musician changes, and I got sick of that and I moved on. So, great musicians in that band, though. I mean, yeah.
And you, when you play competitive sports, because you were in sports and band as well, is it the same mindset you find that you have for sports? Not in the sense of just competition, but just
I would say, like, working as a team.
Yeah,
that's like huge. You can't just be one person. You can't just be one person in a band. You need that whole team there.
Right.
And I've always been very passionate about being like, hey, I'm not the only one here. Even though, yes, I'm the focal point, the center of attention, everybody else in the band is just as important as me.
Right.
And I try to show that to the audience as much as possible, and make them, you know, not forget that, hey, there's other people here, and we're a team, and we're making this together, and it's not just about me.
Now, you had an amazing discovery we talked about the other day about your vocal range. And it was with a music teacher, and, well, you tell what happened.
Well, this was when I first discovered that I could even hit really, really high notes. And I just never ventured there before. So in choir, they were trying to figure out what class to put me in: tenor, soprano, baritone. Usually the guys are baritone and tenor.
Right.
So basically what it is, you go into a room, there's a piano, it's a little tiny room, and she's playing the piano and doing scales, and you la 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 la. So she's going and she keeps going, la 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 la, and she's turning around and what the heck? And I'm like, I don't know. This is the first time I'm hearing it too. And she just keeps going up, and we went through 4 octaves and then some, and that's when my voice started to crack up there, and she was like, you're tenor soprano, like that's ridiculous. So that's what they classified me as, tenor soprano, and I actually did some soprano parts, female soprano parts when I was in choir.
What was the first song you remember that you sang soprano at?
I can't remember that.
What about the first song you wrote? And with which band?
The first song I ever wrote. Well, when I first joined the revival of Bright Righteous, it was the revival before Bright Righteous, and I had joined into the band, and funny enough, the lead singer asked me to be in the band. And when I came into the band, they had a bunch of songs written already. So I'm like, well, hey, I'm a songwriter. I'd love to like take a stab at some of these songs and possibly write some more. Okay. And I believe the very first song that I wrote was called Lakeside. And I still remember the chorus to this day. So far away, but are we closer than we thought? This place just takes me back. And basically what it's about is having that special place in the world for you that feels like it's made for you, or you have to go there all the time, like your cabin or a spot, you know, a rock that's right on the shoreline of a beach that you always go to, you know, and sit there and chat with a friend or something like that. And that's what that song's about, is kind of capturing that moment. And that was like my first song with the band. Yeah.
Now, Invisible Friends, Bright Righteous, both bands with your good friend Jay Jensen. Shout out to Jay Jensen. Now, with the bands being such a difference, how do they complement each other, and how are they different?
Well, I'd say, I mean, some of our songs did cross over, and they made sense, but there were some songs that were like, well, we can't play that. That's not Bright Righteous or Invisible Friends anymore. Our sound did change because we lost 3 guys, you know, and that's, no matter what, it's going to change. But Jay and I were always the core writers of the group, and it's always been that way, even since the revival. And again, going back to, you know, not brushing the other guys under the rug, I wanted to push Jay forward, and him to be more of a focal point for people to look at. So that's why we dressed him up in a robot suit. So people could be like, who's that guy? Yeah. But really, you know, it really came down to when we wrote with Bright Righteous, Jay would come up with the mix, and then we'd add instruments to it. It didn't always happen like that, but we'd start with the mix, add the instruments, and then I'd see what inspired some lyrics, and we'd go from there. And it's still the way that we do it right now. And I think that some of the songs that we were writing towards the end of Bright Righteous were very... it was just me and Jay writing it, really, and then the other guys were just putting their parts over top of it, and yeah, so I think that really, like, because we were doing that towards the end of Bright Righteous, we kept those songs, and it was easy for us to like add them in the set. But yeah, I'm pretty sure if you put side by side Bright Righteous and you listen to what we're coming up with now with Invisible Friends, you can see it's like night and day. It's a totally different sound, and we're going for something that we've been going for a long time, but now I feel like we have more freedom to do it.
Right.
Yeah, we can pretty much do whatever we want, you know.
Was it an easy transition going from a band with 5 members to 2, songwriting wise? Because you guys both did the songwriting, but how was it just a transition in general, just getting used to just the 2 of you from there on in?
Well, yes and no.
Okay.
Because like I said, we had been writing like that for a long time, but I was always about like, hey, you know, I want to hear your input. If you don't like that lyric, what can you do to make it better? What can you come up with? You know, that what can you bring to the table that's going to add to the song? Okay. And I kind of wanted everybody to have their little bit in the song. You know, I never wanted to leave anybody out. So writing like that is so fun for me, because it's like if we all painted a picture together, then it would be our picture. It's not just one person's picture. So I want to, yeah, I mean, I feel like not having that, I really miss it a lot. And a lot of that weight falls on my shoulders. Jay writes a lot of lyrics and everything, and melodies and everything. He's great at it, and he brings a lot to the table. But just having those other, you know, little bits and pieces that I probably wouldn't catch myself, and somebody else says, hey, what about this? And it changes the whole song. I kind of miss that. I gotta say.
Well, having a firm foundation in friendship is inspiring and comforting at the same time. You have that. How does that help you when you're living in Los Angeles, making it out there with music?
Well, I think the most important thing is if you're gonna go all the way with like a band member moving to another country, or even, you know, touring the world with that other person or the other people in your band, I think you really need to figure out if you can actually live with those people, because I think that's a very important thing. And the people, you know, give it a shot first. You know, do a little test tour. Don't just go and move to LA with somebody that you just started a band with. You know, you really got to get to know that person. And Jay and I we've been, I don't know, living together for years and years. We started with the band house. There was the 4 of us in there, the Revival House. And then we moved to a place on Alloway. Lived there for 3 years, and now we're in California. But it's like, it's so easy for us because we work with each other, and you know, when things get heated, I find it's best to just move on from it. And just, you know, obviously you don't want to sweep it under the rug, because these things are going to surface eventually. You got to face things head on. But it's not easy. It's not an easy thing. But I think the most important thing is knowing that you can actually live with that person or be with that person for very, very long periods of time.
And you've toured and visited some of the most interesting places in the world. What have you learned most about yourself on tour? And was touring everything you thought it was when you were a kid, dreaming of this before making reality? You
know, funny enough, I think it is. I was prepared for it. And then when I said I wanted to be in a touring band, you know, my parents were like, you sure you want to do that? Do you really know what happens on the road? And I'm like, you know what? Bring it on. I'm ready. Yeah. Some people are just made for it, and some people aren't. You know, it's, you know, not sleeping in your own bed every night, sleeping in a random stranger's couch or futon or something like that on their floor. You got to get used to that. And I think right away I thought about every single little thing, because I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. And I'm like, am I really ready for this? Do I really want to do this? And the answer is yes.
You love performing. We all love to watch you perform and listen to you perform. Do you love songwriting as equally as performing?
Yes. I find it more difficult, though.
Okay.
So critical on myself. I used to be very critical on myself on my performances, and I've really learned to let go of that. It's a release. I could be the angriest guy that day on the show day, and then after the performance, like there's no way that nothing can bring me down, you know. Now songwriting is way different because it's a process, and there's a lot of frustration in there. Sometimes it all just comes out, and that's my favorite. That's close to performance for me, I'd say, is when a song just kind of all comes out. And that's there's no feeling like that when it's like, hey, this is something special. And I'll actually play you guys a song that was like that for me. Get There Fast, funny enough. Yeah. I got there fast with that one.
What advice do you have for musicians who want to make their dreams reality?
I'd say just don't quit. Never limit yourself. That's the most important thing. Never ever limit yourself. Always try and shoot higher. Always try and better yourself, and try your hardest not to listen to those people that are chirping.
12, you mentioned you wanted to buy a motorcycle. Hog on a hog was the quote. Has that happened?
No, I chickened out, man. I chickened out. Yeah. I'm too scared. Yeah. I don't want to die like that.
Yeah, no, me neither. Okay, 1995-96 Chicago Bulls or 2000-2001 Lakers?
It's a no-brainer, bro. Chicago Bulls. I stopped watching basketball because Michael Jordan stopped playing. So, yeah. I mean, and now we got the Raptors, and they're amazing, and that's when I started watching basketball again because they're so amazing. But yeah, no, that's a no-brainer.
Biggest misconception people have about you?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Biggest misconception, man. That I always sing Zeppelin. I can sing other things too, man.
It's true. And what makes visiting home so special?
It's my friends, family, and just the overall city. I love the city to death. I hate the winter. I hate the winter. But I love this city and the people, and we all know it. You know, it comes alive in the summertime right now, today, Canada Day. Yeah. It's going to be amazing. Even though, you know, there's no festivities, people are going to have their own, and, you know, it's just, I love being here. And it's like, I never want to miss a summer here. I always want to be back for the summer. And I try to be, but it's difficult sometimes. But this place will always be my home. It'll always be a part of me.
A concert you performed at that gave you like just an amazing vibe?
Winnipeg Pride. And playing in front of 10,000 people, and having them there with me, connected with them. I can't explain that feeling. It was the best performance. I think that it's one of the best performances ever in my brain. And it was just something about it. There was so much love in the air, and it was just a vibe about it. And yeah, hands down.
And last question: will you be on RoseNthorn Talk in the future?
Absolutely.
Yes. So Kevin's going to do a song for us, an original song. Let him take it away and tell you about the song.
All right. You want me to do an intro?
Yeah, sure.
Here? Well, like I said, I wrote this song in about I guess about 10 minutes. I picked up the guitar and started playing these chords. But I basically wrote it about, and I'm not going to be specific as to who it is, but I had a friend that was kind of life in the fast lane, go, always wanting to do more and more drugs, and always be in that state of mind, and not being able to derail from that, and just always going. And you know, people would tell him, you know, hey, like, slow down a little bit. No, I got to keep going, because if I fall, it's going to be a hard crash and I'm not going to be able to get up. So he just keeps going and going and going. And that's what this song's about. And it's, yeah, kind of like everybody kind of stands back and just watches it happen kind of thing. Yeah. So it's called Get There Fast.
Take another line, we won't live forever. Hollywood two-step dance around me. Gotta let loose, cause your mind is real while we're here. Oh, here. Call 'em up, don't stop, never ending. So oblivious to the life that's pending. All the kids got that winter weather. Fever so hot that I feel the endless need. I'm torn, need to get my fix on. I'm torn, need to get my fix on. I'm torn, need to get my fix on. I'm torn. I wanna know how we get there fast. I wanna know how we get there fast. I live on the edge and you won't come last. I wanna know how we get there fast.
Woo! Yes. So, thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.
Yeah. Tell them tell the folks where they can find your music, find everything about the band.
You can find everything on Spotify, YouTube, all that jazz. Please try and support the band, Apple Music, whatever you can do. Yeah,
That's
go
Invisible.
out there and listen to it.
That's Invisible Friends. Bright Righteous materials up there as well. Kevin, you're a phenomenal musician, amazing friend of mine, and we love you and everything you're doing. So
Love you guys.
thanks everybody. This will be replaying. It'll be actually on my. It'll be a post on my Instagram. It'll be on my YouTube channel by tomorrow. I'm gonna go enjoy the Canada Day festivities.